Have you ever stopped to think about the technology you use every single day? We're about to go on an incredible journey through the history of information and communication technology, or ICT. It's a wild story of human ingenuity that takes us from clunky mechanical gears all the way to the invisible, massive power of the cloud. It's literally the story of how our modern world was built. And to really wrap your head around how far we've come, you have to ask a pretty simple question. How in the world did we get from this, the telegraph? Now, for its time, this thing was an absolute game changer. But let's be honest, the limitations were huge. Sending a message was slow, it could only go from one point to another, and you needed a seriously skilled operator just to tap out the message in Morse code. It was kind of like shouting across a canyon, one letter at a time. So how do we go from that to this seamless, instant, global network that we literally hold in the palm of our hands? A world where billions of us can share ideas, videos, you name it, in the blink of an eye? That phenomenal leap? Well, that's the story of ICT. So where does the story like this even begin? Well, long before we wanted to talk to each other across oceans, humanity had a different, more fundamental problem we needed to solve. How to do really complex math without making dumb human errors. This was the age of cogs, the quest to calculate. Early pioneers built these incredible machines out of brass and wood just to tackle this problem. Back in 1642, you had Blaise Pascal, who created a mechanical adding machine. Then Gottfried Leibniz came along and made it even better, building a device that could multiply and divide too. But the real visionary leap, the one that changed everything, came in 1837 with Charles Babbage's idea for the analytical engine. This was basically the first blueprint for a general-purpose programmable computer. But it was Ada Lovelace who worked with Babbage who had this unbelievable insight. She saw that the machine wasn't just a number cruncher. She realized that if symbols could stand for numbers, they could stand for, well, anything. Music, words, images. She saw that it was a machine for manipulating information. This was, for all intents and purposes, the conceptual birth of the modern computer. Just an incredible idea. But there was a problem, a big one. Mechanical cogs and gears are slow. They jam, they wear out. To get faster, to get more powerful, technology had to solve its next great puzzle. It needed to get beyond the physical world of clunky mechanics and make the electronic leap. You know, at the heart of every single computer is a really simple idea, a switch. It could be on or off, representing a 1 or a 0. A mechanical switch is like a light switch on your wall. It's big, it's slow, and you can only flick it so many times before it breaks. An electronic switch, though? Whoa. That's a different beast entirely. It's microscopic, it's insanely fast, and it can be flipped billions of times a second without ever wearing out. And this slide right here shows the incredible race to make that electronic switch smaller and faster. We started with these huge, hot vacuum tubes back in the 40s. Then, the invention of the transistor in 1947 was a total game changer, making computers way smaller and more reliable. But the final piece of the puzzle was the integrated circuit in 1958, which let us pack millions, and now billions, of those tiny transistors onto a single chip of silicon. Okay, so by the mid-20th century, we had these small, really powerful computers. But they were basically islands. Isolated brains of information. And this created the next massive challenge. How do we get these powerful electronic brains to actually talk to each other across cities, countries, and even whole continents? And the solution, which actually came from the military's ARPANET project, was nothing short of genius. Instead of creating a centralized network where everything depended on one hub, they designed a decentralized one. The goal was to build a communication system that could survive almost anything. Think of it like a spider's web. You can cut any single strand, but the message just finds another way to get to where it's going. It's brilliant in its simplicity. So, did this idea of a decentralized network catch on? Ha! This number says it all. 3.2 billion. That is the number of new internet users that came online in just the 2 decades between 2005 and 2025. I mean, that's not just growth, that is a planetary transformation, all powered by that one simple, resilient design. And that brings us to today. This incredible journey from cogs to the cloud, well, it's actually accelerating. The evolution is so far from over, and right now, we're standing on the edge of a whole new set of technological frontiers. So what's happening right now? We've got artificial intelligence, systems that can actually learn and create. We've got the Internet of Things, which is connecting everything from your watch to your coffee maker to this global network.
Cloud computing gives us all access to pretty much limitless storage and processing power on demand. And just on the horizon is the truly mind-bending potential of quantum computing, which promises to solve problems that are literally impossible for today's fastest supercomputers.
So, we're left with this. We started by solving for calculation, then we solved for speed, and then for communication. Our tools have evolved from these clunky gears into a globe-spanning network of unimaginable power. So the final question isn't really what this technology can do anymore, but what it should do. What is the next great problem that we should aim all of this incredible power at solving?